Okay. So, guys, we are here today with Renee McLaughlin, and she is an amazing movement expert. And so, Renee, why don't you give everyone, a little introduction to who you are?
Thank you. So, who am I? Well, I have been fascinated, passionate about health and fitness really for as long as I can remember, back being a teenager. And I actually had a weight problem. And I think that's really what got me so interested as a teenager. You know how I was fine weight-wise probably up until I hit puberty, that area. And quite frankly, now as I look back, I look at my pictures of myself and I'm like, what was I thinking? I was fine. But plus I'm a little bit older. I'm actually 60 now. So back when I was a teenager, Twiggy was big. Right. You had to be twiggy. And so, who could hang up with that? So I had this whole idea and this whole concept about how I was fat and what I was going to do. And one of the things that I found is that the more I obsessed about my weight, the worse I look back now and I think I actually really did probably have the beginnings of an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. So that binge eating, I didn't ever purge, but I probably would have had I kept going on that whole thing, So anyway, I ended up going to college. I went for clinical dietetics and I had to end up stopping that for a family business. And anyway, but I kind of went pre-med and business, etc. And my life took me in other places. I had to do other business, right? My life had other things it wanted me to do for a while, but I was always still studying, walking and running. I ran, I did what I had to do, always studying nutrition. And then I was just really lucky enough, probably about 25 years ago to be able to get out of the corporate world and say, what do I want to do? Well, this has always been my passion. And interestingly enough, I started to get into it. I got my master's degree in natural health because I could study everything, which is what I wanted to do, right? And really get this whole toolkit of different healing things. But where I always went to was movement. For me, I have to move. I'm a little movement junkie. And that doesn't mean extreme stuff, although I've done it, but I just found that it wasn't really helpful. So I'm going to kind of take you back then, right in that time, probably about 25 years ago. I ended up crashing, quite frankly. And with autoimmune conditions, it's an up and down thing. It's an interesting thing. At least it has been for me. And I was just shocked. I'm always busy eating so healthy and doing all my stuff, and thinking that that's my insurance policy. And as long as I did that, right, and stayed really strict and strictly ate only my and worked out really hard and and all this, that was what was going to do it. And when I found myself crashed down on the couch, I was kind of like, wow. It was really it was a come to God moment, if you will. And I was, quite frankly, I was angry. I was really angry. Have you found that a lot of us who thought we were doing everything right, and then we got some kind of an illness or something that stops us in our tracks? Yeah. And it was like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I remember really going to the grocery store, right? And I was just like, I was bright red and I was just exhausted. I was like this, right? And I'd go to the grocery store and I'd see these people who look so vibrant and everything's good. And I'm looking to see what they're eating. And I'm going, oh dear goodness. I wouldn't even put that in my body. But it made me stop and think, wow, I have to rethink everything. I had to rethink everything. And what it came to for me really was that I wasn't actually being kind to myself. Right. So when we look at, I'm going to go to movement since that's what my expertise is now. I think it's really important to start to think about, if you are already in an exercise program, what's the intention behind it? Are you doing it to punish yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a punishment? Is it, okay, I ate 3 Tootsie Rolls last night and I'm going to work it off?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a punishment, you know. Is it to control? Oh my goodness, I'm so afraid that, you know, if I don't go really, really hard, that something terrible is going to happen. I mean, there's lots of, you know, listen, we program ourselves in so many different ways from way back. And somebody could have said something to us back when we were 13, and it just hit in that brain, and it's been rolling around there, and we don't even realize it. But sometimes when we get stopped in our tracks and we're there, such a beautiful time to really begin to look at everything, right? Mm-hmm. And everything starts in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our belief system. And I realized that I had to really start to question, you know, when I go to, okay, I'm going to get up and I have to go, oh, no. Like, what's driving that? What's, you know, oh, you know what? That was like a punishment. That was old. I have to switch. So you know what I'm saying? There's so much. It really starts back there. And so I like to say I needed to learn. I'm going to cry. I needed to learn how to love myself back to health.
Yeah.
Right? And it began with that. And it started to, I don't know how to love myself. Like, I don't love myself. I'm sorry. You know, like, I don't look like I want to look. I haven't accomplished everything I want to accomplish. You know, God, I yelled at my kid this morning. Shame on me. I wasn't kind to my neighbor. You know, all this stuff. And it really, I had to really just every day say to myself, what can I love about myself today? And then how can I love myself? Just a little bit, just a couple of things. What can I do? If I'm going to eat really healthy food, from where am I eating that from? Am I looking at that gorgeous red apple and going, oh my gosh, that is so beautiful, and eating it slowly and relishing it? Or am I going, oh my God, there's too many carbs. There's too many carbs, fructose. It's going to go right here. I better not eat it. You know, all that stuff. But listen, that's where we've come to. Oh my gosh. So it was really a whole paradigm shift. Sorry, this is a little off the subject, except to come then back and say, as I'm going through this then, I like to just get really quiet and just ask, you know, okay, show me what's next. Like, how can I do this? Give me tools. Give me tools. And I always love when I ask and I sit and get quiet, I love to see what shows up. And I know, Julie, that this is what's happened, whether your clients or patients know that that's how they found you or not. But there's a place, inner self, that's ready. Mm-hmm. The student and the woman is ready, right? The teacher, the doctor will show up, and you've showed up in their lives. And I've had things show up in my life. And I really think one of the biggest things, well, I know, that showed up was T-Tapp for me. I saw it in a magazine, you know that magazine that you see at the grocery store every day, and you're just so wanting to look, oh, how can I walk off those extra 85 pounds? Right. Oh, really? Or the doctor that has me thyroid burning 3 superfoods. Oh, I know I shouldn't, but it's like a train wreck. I simply must look, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it was I think it was, you know, lose 2 sizes in 4 weeks with the incredible fat burning workout. And I'm like, oh, right, surely that's not true, but just in case. And so I opened it, and it was just a really interesting article. And the woman that developed it, her name was Tapp, which is why it's called T-Tapp. It's not about tap dancing. But she was saying some things in there that I had never heard before when it comes to movement. And that's really had to do with, she said, you know, if you've gotten really bulky muscles from weight training, doing this kind of weight-bearing exercise, working muscles, full fiber, comprehensive, just using your own body weight, but in a very aligned way, you can get rid of the bulk. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting, because I was doing a lot of weight training and I was very bulky. I happen to have, not every woman has that ability to bulk, but I did. You can see I've got muscles. Now they're not bulky, but that's my body type. So anyway, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then she started to talk about the lymphatic system. And the importance of moving the lymphatic system to help. And I'm like, first of all, I don't even know what a lymphatic system is. That was 20 years ago. Nobody was talking lymphatic system. Right. So I got the workout. It was on those big DVD, the big videos way back when, right? We've come so far. And I started to do it, and I went, wow, there's something to this. And really just my real movement journey really began then. And I really believe that because of that lymphatic ability of T-Tapp for me to still go in, I could still do my beautiful movement that I loved. I could get my muscles long and lean. I could look the way I wanted to look. I could pump the lymphatic system, and guess what? It didn't exhaust my already exhausted adrenal glands.
Yeah.
And that's huge, to be able to use a movement to get what you're looking for, but not create more free radical and stress damage on the body.
Yeah.
And so it was just, and is this beautiful combination of moves, and it focuses on posture. So I absolutely loved it, and have taught that for the last really 20 years. Wow. And then the last few years from there, then I began to really get interested in working with different types of relaxed stretching as well. So T-Tapp definitely has stretching in it, no question. But I've also studied even more the importance of relaxing the nervous system, working with the fascia, and some other things. So I've added other things, and then kind of created my own fusion classes, which I've shared with you. Julie, and I know you're sharing with your clients, that I just think brings in the best parts of all the new science. I mean, now, lymph system, of course we get that. Now we're talking about fascia and connective tissue. So it kind of incorporates all of that. And over time, I have gotten healthier and healthier. I have loved myself back. Yes, I've had to do detox. No question. I've had to do physical things as well. We have to. It has to be that complete mix, especially if you're not really and truly not well. But it's really now about, right, that loving yourself back to health. You're not punishing yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's a huge focus. I talk to everyone about loving ourselves and loving ourselves, because it's such a big part of how and why we'll stay well. So absolutely.
And it's all about feeling good and having joy, and how that raises the energy. And a lot of times I think people who haven't really experienced it yet really kind of they eyeball roll. Oh, eyeball roll. Really, Renee, the power of love. You know what I mean? Like it has a cliche kind of talk to it.
Yeah.
But because I've been talking it for so many years, but what's so fabulous now is, if that is your focus, I highly recommend taking time, go to YouTube, and really listen to Bruce Lipton or Greg Braden and some of these research scientists. These are not woo-woo talking about love. I'm saying that way because I know a lot of people feel that way. But what's fabulous is now science, quantum physics, is proving all these things that us old hippies would talk about, right? It's true at the quantum level, at the base level. That's where true healing is. It's where true healing is. And so the more we do go in and love, and when I say I'm a believer, I'm not a believer from here. I'm a believer from here because I've experienced that. And when I find myself getting intense, which I do, that's my default, right? We all have our default mechanisms when we're feeling out of control or stressed. I'm just going to work harder.
Yeah.
I can control it. And then I have to go, ooh.
Yeah.
Let me go on the floor and let me stretch.
Yeah. Well, and so that's a great place because what you do, I think, is so unique. But and I can get that at its core, like it really is about loving into those tissues so that your body knows, like, I'm going to participate with you. I'm not just going to beat you into submission and then wonder why you're not listening to me. So tell us, more about how that shows up with movement. You know, like, why is moving with intention rather than it being, I always tell people I work with, you know, everything we do, we can either do it transactionally, so we can like check the box, like I did my movement, I did my gratitude, like I should be better by now, or we can do it with purpose and develop that relationship. And so, you know, tell us how we can have relationship. And like you said, like when you discovered how to move in that way, like you had the strength and you had your body feeling and responding like you wanted it to, but you were no longer beating yourself into submission.
Yeah, you know, I will tell you that I really believe at this point, the tool that I have, that I didn't actually have then. So I'm having it now, which is taking me to my next level, and I wish I had it then because it would be even better. Yeah. And that is I call it my relax and release stretch class, where you get on the floor and you really just go in doing these movements really slowly listening. So your eyes are shut and you're moving and you're just kind of watching and waiting for the sensations in your body to come up to meet you. It's a whole different way. I actually, so interesting, just did a little video yesterday. It's on YouTube on why this stretch class is different from, say, yoga. Mm-hmm. But we can use it for just about anything else, where I find most movement that we do, I'm calling it movement. I'll call it exercise movement. They're not necessarily interchangeable. We're going to use it for that. It's all external. Mm-hmm. Right? It's external. Show me what to do, and I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to give away my body's power, my power to know what's good for me out there, right? Oh, so whoever has the newest, Zumba class, and I'm going to have to watch them and see, or even yoga. And I'm not talking about that deep spiritual yoga. I'm talking about yoga for fitness. Yeah. Right? Oh, I have to get into this very specific pose like this. And and I'm with it. And am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Which, all that stuff. But it's out there, and we're having somebody else tell us what to do. And so I think that's been so much of all of our focus, giving away our power to heal, right? But in here, every cell is going, listen to me. You now have arthritis, you have fibromyalgia, you have anxiety, your joints hurt, you have lupus, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. It's every cell. To me, it's our body going, please listen, we've got messages you need to hear, but we can't hear. We're asking out here. So all that to say, when we get on the floor, we breathe and we shut our eyes and start to move. We kind of go, oh, right now, the body only wants to go to here today. And let me settle there and breathe. Mm-hmm. And the body goes, okay, that's so nice. I call it safe. It's now safe. We can open up in spaces. We can get more space in there, and you can go a little bit more. Now, when we create space in the inside of the body, now oxygen can start to flow in there. Nutrients can start to flow in there. And all of a sudden, you're like, wow, the next day I can go a little bit more. I feel a little bit better, feel a little bit looser in my body. And now in my mind, I just visualize, because visualization is very, very powerful. Don't ever think it isn't. Visualization is powerful. So I like at the end to just see all my cells like happy and dancing. They're like, yes, girlfriend, you found me, you're listening. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but it really isn't. And again, quantum physics shows that that the visualization works. Yes. And we know that there's nothing different, really, in reality between what we think about and what's actually out there. We create our own reality with our thoughts, right? So we might as well create this beautiful, healthy body that's moving in a beautiful way. The other thing that happens with this is, because we're doing some beautiful rollovers over on our spine, doing this very specific, beautiful belly breath and relaxing, it absolutely relaxes the nervous system. Yeah. Going hardcore aerobics, you might feel exhausted, and there's a certain feeling of, after you're done with an aerobics class, right? Let's face it, you're exhausted. It's not a relaxation of the nervous system, though.
Right.
Would you? It's more like, okay, I've completely exhausted my energy system, but I haven't shifted from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic. It's a difference. It's really an interesting difference, isn't there, in that feeling? Yeah. So when I get up, and my clients, when we get up from doing relax and release, I mean, people say, oh my God, Renee, I haven't slept like that in years, right? Because the nervous system is relaxed. And imagine how much healing we can get when we're truly relaxed and we're able to get that deep, beautiful, rejuvenating sleep. So did that answer your question? You know, I can go on and on. I'm not sure I actually.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and so, you know, what do you say to people who get really worried though? Like, but Renee, you know, I'm used to being a really strong, you know, muscular woman, and how am I gonna, you know, I think I'm gonna lose my muscle mass if I'm not challenging those muscles with my high intensity interval training and, you know, getting the muscle fibers to exhaustion and all of that. So what do you tell those people?
Well, it's a great question. And my very first question always is that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
Is it working for you? Are you getting all the health and fitness results that you're looking for? And if you are, great, keep doing it. You know, and when you're young, you can probably get away with it.
Right.
Not so much anymore, huh? Because we're so inundated with so many toxins in our whole environment that even the young people aren't getting away with it.
Yeah.
We used to be able to, but not anymore. But if it's not, you kind of need to kind of step back and look at what's going on. Because when you're doing things that are that exhausting, I have kind of two answers for that. The first one is that extreme exercise is an extreme stress on the body.
Yeah.
And so when I'm not saying it's not necessarily, I mean, we call it good stress and bad stress. Okay, but stress is still stress, right? Yeah. And when you're doing extreme exercise, that's extremely stressful. And it creates a lot of free radical damage and a lot of inflammation. That's why you're sore. That's why you're probably tired or exhausted a lot of the time. And believe me, if you keep doing that, your body will, because those are messages, right? You're overdoing it, you're getting tired. And if you think you're going to override your body, I'm here to tell you, please, you know, take a minute, because it will let you know by crashing you. Do you want to wait until you crash? You know, and some people, most of us, we wait till we crash.
Sure.
You know, and then we have to go, oh, what happened now? And it happens over and over again. So again, you don't need to lift heavy weight to get strong muscles. What you do need is information on how to use your own body weight to get the best results in an aligned fashion, and you need to learn how to put your body in a really good postural positioning. All those things help. So information on this is critical, and those are some of the things that we teach, right, in how to do that. That's really, really critical. And the second thing that I will also say is just notice how you're feeling in the body when you're doing extreme exercise. So are you feeling, you might be feeling kind of, oh yes, I'm strong, I get that. But then really notice, like, how much mobility and flexibility do you have in your body, right? Can you really work and move just beautifully and feeling just like you don't have anything that's holding you back, right? You're feeling really flexible and mobile in your body. Then you're doing a good job. But most of the time when we're that extreme, it's like, oh wait, like I can't quite get that there, you know? And that's because you have really tight muscles, tight connective tissue from doing those kinds of muscle work. And now you can't really strengthen a muscle that's already tight. And that's the problem. So the first thing we need to do is loosen everything else. Again, that beautiful relaxed stretch. Now, once you're down there, you're relaxed. Now you can do some very focused strengthening. Okay, and that's kind of, after we relax and release, the second level to that is how to now go in with the brain focused on each muscle and work it independently and then put it all together again. So there's still ways to do it, but that extreme stuff, I find.
Yeah. So the other thing I wonder, because you work so much with helping people get into the fascia, you know, not just the muscle, but really, you know, what did you say on one of your sessions the other day? Is it motion is the lotion of the fascia? I loved that. So,
I love that little meme, and somehow it just kind of came to me. Yeah, motion is the fascia lotion. And so understanding about the fascia, now the fascia is like so mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And what's so interesting is like up through maybe even 10, 15 years ago, like no doctors never knew anything. We didn't know about the fascia.
right.
You know, we'd go to do, they would go to do autopsies or whatever they were doing, all their anatomy, right? And they would just peel the fascia off, throw it out. Like, because, you know, nature created this stuff that we don't need. We'll just throw it out of there. We don't never bother to look at it.
Yeah, of course.
Now there's so much information. So for those of you who may not be really aware, fascia is like this paper tissue kind of, there's very thin layers, and it's designed to do this, and it covers. It's inside the entire body. It goes through every cell. And did you know, Julie, I'm sure you probably know this, it's like one thread. It's a single thread. It goes through everything. It's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is we need to be able, it requires motion, movement, right? The body was meant to move. The body was not created to sit like this at a desk all day.
Right.
Right? I mean, it just wasn't. It wasn't meant to do that. So all the things that happen, what is it? Sitting is the new smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the body is meant to move and move in all the different ranges of motion. So when we don't, the fascia gets tight and dehydrated and bound up. So just imagine it's like this whole sheath here getting tight. And then you can't move. It's not even, so often we think, oh, you know, I have sore muscles. There's not even, muscle can't even get anywhere because your fascia is bound.
Yeah.
So what that lotion, the movement for fascia in order to loosen it is very just, I love this. I love doing this. You see that. I do it all day long because it just feels so beautiful to just slowly move the body. And you can just see when you start to do that, you're moving, you're curling your tailbone, you're just moving everything like this. It allows the fascia, all those layers, to hydrate under there. Now, the other thing that's really fascinating, this is kind of geeky, but what we're learning now is when we work with the human body field, which is the body's energy system, we're learning that actually it's the fascia, which is where the information transfer is coming from.
Yeah.
It's almost like, if I may say so again, I know this is geeky, but I'm almost kind of thinking that the fascia is almost like our internal body consciousness.
Yep.
That's where the consciousness is, right? That's really intense. But anyway, so just thinking about how much information needs to be communicated between every cell in the body. I mean, how does the body do it? I mean, how does a skin cell know that it needs to be created into a skin cell? And the stem cells, how does it know, oh, this is a pancreas cell, we need to do that? And how does it know, how does every cell know that in the body it has to maintain this very narrow pH and very narrow blood sugar? I mean, there's just so much information that's going on. And so we think that that's where the information is coming from. So imagining that all of a sudden, right, we're bound up. There's not a lot of movement going on there. We're getting dehydrated. By the way, how does information get transferred through salty water?
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, like homeopathic, so salty water. So when the fascia's bound, the information's not getting through. And all of a sudden, we get pain. We get things not working. right? We get fibromyalgia or whatever else it is because it's not there. So going the opposite way then, what happens when we begin to move the fascia and unbind it? Even doing stretch class, we're on the ground, we're moving slowly, the fascia is getting unbound. And now, again, places where that space is being opened, information can now get out to the rest of the body. Oxygen can now go flowing into these places that's been bound up. Nutrients get in there. And all of a sudden, you start to be able to move. All of a sudden, what can happen, right? The pain starts to go away. The nervous system can now relax because the fascia is all up in the back, right? What's all that? The spine, the brainstem, it's the central nervous system, right? Imagine when all that starts to open and the body's going, thank you.
Yeah.
Now I can get so much more information, so much healing nutrient into that. So really powerful. Fascia is just amazing. And we probably know about this much about it now.
Totally.
We have no idea. So it's just going to be so much fun to watch and see how science continues to learn more and more about what's going on there. And again, I just believe it's going to just keep getting down and down into that quantum science level. So love yourself. Move like you love yourself, right? If this doesn't come, put some music on. Listen, music is another thing. Speaking, talking, that vibration of the voice. Move with the vibration of the voice. All these things are helping us to heal from such a beautiful way. It helps all the other things that you're doing, right? Just get down into the cells and be incorporated into that.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you talk about it too, because it is, we in fact, it'll be our rate limiting factor. I really do believe, because we also store so many things. Like, we have so many reserve pools of old emotions and, experiences that we need to clear. And until we get the fascia moving, we can't get into those tissues and they won't release. And then we can't, it prevents us from going deeper and having those bigger, expansive experiences. And, it's so essential, but I don't know of many kinds of movement that allow us to gently approach the body from that safe space and say, like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. Let's partner for a little bit. Like, I'll bring my awareness, you bring yours. Let's have some fun. And then suddenly it's like, I tell people all the time, to me, it's like whole universes open up inside of you. And so,
that's so beautiful. It's so true. And thank you for that, because I do think it's really important too, to let people know that when you do that, exactly what you said, especially I find in this area,
yep.
right? We hold generations of contraction in here, right? And this is the most beautiful, creative energy center in our whole body. I mean, we create humans here, for goodness sakes, right? But yet there's so much contraction around that. So when you do get on the floor and you open in the hips, often you might find these emotions coming up. You might start to cry. Very often start to cry. And then people get like shocked and embarrassed and think there's something wrong. And if that happens, no, just allow the tears to come. That's, emotion is energy in motion. Let it flow. I like to say, just let it flow and try really hard not to create a story around it.
Right.
Right? It doesn't need to be about anything that's ever happened. It just doesn't need it. It's just, just let it flow, let it go. And you'll find that afterwards, it's just such a beautiful release. Yeah. I was at a stretch retreat with the lady who taught me this, and we were actually on some yoga bolsters, and we had our arms open like this. So this is more heart-spaced. Again, another energy center, right? The energy center here in the brain. And we were out like this, and we just started to breathe deeply, visualizing the sun. I'm breathing. I probably got 3 deep breaths in. And out of nowhere, I just began to sob and sob and sob. And afterwards, it felt so good, right? So whatever that was in that whole heart area just needed to open, just needed to open and move. And it's, this to me, right, Julie, isn't this like the juicy part? That's like the really amazing part. Love that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that you shared that too, because I do think the more we get into our bodies, the more that it's like the experience just gets so neat and dynamic. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm alive.
Yes.
That's such a great thing. Like the experience of emotion inside of our bodies is a richness. Like that's a beauty, and you're right. You don't have to be afraid of it. And when we get there, it's like, oh my gosh, I know, I've had those experiences myself, and I always tell people it's like afterwards, it's like after a spring rain and everything just got washed out, and you're like, wow.
Oh, that's a beautiful visualization. Yes, right? It's like, as you're talking and I'm feeling that, I'm also going in and just really feeling the energy of someone, because I was there too, that just, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid to stop doing all this intense stuff, right? I'm so afraid. And it's like we think that we can control it. Right? Really, it's about control. And we think that we need to control it. If I can do enough stuff, then everything will be okay. But if I let go, what might happen?
Right.
You feel like you're going to lose control. And it has to do with control, but I also believe that it has to do with a lack of faith and trust.
Yeah.
A lack of faith and trust that if we let go and we breathe and we go down into this part, out of the head and down into here, that we will be taken care of. I don't mean that we won't get sick. That's a little bit different. But simply that everything is really just the way it's supposed to be. And if we just allow the flow, and it's scary. It's really scary. It's scary to let go. To start to let go. And I know it took me a long time. I'm not saying I'm on the top of the mountain with this. I don't think any of us ever get there, right? Talking about it's so helpful, right? Afterwards, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to get on the floor. I'm feeling it now, right? Because it really helps. And I think that's also why it's so lovely to have a community of like-minded people so we can come in and talk about these experiences, to just share again, like, I went in and as soon as I started to let go, I got scared. I got scared. And that's one of the things that happens too on the floor. And that's why I said, sometimes you'll go to like right here and the body's like, no, I'm not going any further. Because the body's trying to protect us. It's like, no, you're not ready to let that muscle right there go yet. Okay, I'll back off a little bit and breathe for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to go a little bit further. No, not today. But you know what? Maybe next week I go to there and it's like, okay, it's ready. I can let go a little bit more. So again, it allows us, I think, to begin to learn, right? How really it's all there for us. It's all there. It's really all there for us. And we really can allow the body to teach us. We really can let go.
Yeah.
We really can. But you know what? You have to just start. You have to start and just really watch, be super mindful of when the gremlin in your brain steps in and goes, no, just go, you know what? I hear you. And and I know you're there to keep me safe, but I'm going to go down here now.
Yeah.
And just keep talking to it, right? Okay, I hear you. No. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's so great.
Oh, Renee, I love this conversation. Well, so is there anything else that you think that you'd love for people to think about or pay attention to, as we kind of wrap up, that is really inherently, part of how you work with all of this that you haven't shared with us yet?
Oh, no, as a wrap up, Julie, thank you for that. I think just try it.
Yeah.
Just go in and have faith, know that, look, this body is so miraculous. I mean, it's breathtaking. It's so miraculous.
Yeah.
And we walk around and think that we know in our head the best ways to do it, or they know, somebody else out there knows, right? And there's this guru that knows and that guru that knows. And that one's going to teach me how to eat better, right? And all that stuff. And really, we hear it, we hear it, we hear it. It's an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
It's an inside job. What does that mean? It just means, you know, if you don't, I find, I'll just say this, and I'll stop, you know, I could go on forever. Meditation has been talked about since probably man has ever been on the planet, right? If you do any religion, any philosophy, any yoga, it's all about meditation. And I've been actually meditating since I was 13 because I was so stressed out as a kid. I did TM, right, with the little yoga and the yogi and my mantra. I've been doing it a long time. But what I find is, especially people who are new to it, especially those of you who are trying to hunker back, do it, and have lives like that. I get that, chaotic lives. And then somebody says, okay, meditate. You're like, okay, I'm going to meditate. So I'm going to sit, and I'm going to try really hard to meditate, right? And then the monkey mind goes, and there's just no way. I find meditation can make so many of us more frustrated and more tight, okay? Yeah. So that's not everybody's solution. Right. And if that's you, just try it. Just get on the floor. You have, you know, one of the relax and release stretch classes. You may need to watch it a few times so you kind of get a sense of what the movement's like. And then once you kind of have an idea, really just go in, breathe, shut your eyes, and start to move. It is a moving meditation. And you might find when you have that, there is a focus, but it's a inside body focus. And you might find that that's a beautiful way to bring yourself down in, to begin to really love yourself, to get a sense of the majesty that's available right here inside you. If you'll only take the time to get to know it. Everything you really do need is inside. It will tell you. And then just play. Just relax and play.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yay. I have had so much fun. I don't know about you, but I've really enjoyed myself today. So Renee too, like, because they have examples of your work, but if they want to be able to do like more consistently, because you have classes all the time, and so if they want to be able to do that so it can constantly, you know, they can have like the different nuances, because I know you don't teach the same class every single time.
No, every day is different. I imagine that every day is different. Thanks for that, Julie. Yes, so I know that Julie will share with you my main website, which is called Health Coach for Success. And you'll see I have T-Tapp there. Some people love that T-Tapp. It's amazing. And I have class packages there and how to get started with that. But I also have a class called Stretch and Sculpt, which is kind of more of a standing stretch and incorporates that and the posture. And for those of you who are just, oh no, I need to do these muscles, we sculpt. And that's where you're going to learn how to use your body in that way. And then I have the relax and release classes. So there's places there you can come. I do my classes live through Zoom, just like we're doing now, Julie. And I'm watching on this, I have this huge screen TV, so I can see everybody. If you put your camera on, I can see you. You can, some people are uncomfortable, that's fine. You can turn it off and you can see me big, but we do it live and we do them every day. So just go to my site and you can click on there. I even have a place on there with a little offer to come do one of my live classes with me. Live is so wonderful. And I realize we all have schedules that don't matter, but you know, even if you come anytime, just come on, try it live so I can see you, you can see me. If that doesn't work, I have recorded class packages, whatever. And I do personal one-on-one trainings as well through Zoom online. So no matter where you are in the world, we're there for you. Love it. Any way that we can assist.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I loved it. Julian, thank you so much for doing what you do in the world. There are simply not enough of you. And I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful that I have you in my life. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks, Renee.